urban spaces. So the first session, before I start, I should introduce my co-chairs, if they are here. I don't know. Dr. Diana Berkiliak and Meher Niger. I don't know if they are here. So let me firstly introduce the topics we have. So we have first presentation titled Bridging Urban Accessibility and Sustainability Space Syntax-Based Analysis of Green Spaces in Mostagan, Algeria. So this presentation is, I'm the author of this presentation, and there is also my co-authors Naghali Fouad from the University of Mostagan in Algeria, and Nabi Aktibast, a lecturer also from the University of Ardea. The second presentation we will display is titled Quality and Quantity Parameters for Developing Urban Design Regulations for Public Open Spaces in Kerala. So, presented by the postgraduate student Dishlana Sayed, the associate professor and Dr. Ashfi Nati, and Nirmal Chandi Matthew from the Department of Architecture, the College of Engineering, uh, Trivandrum, Kerala, in India. Third one also is entitled Towards City of Good Development, presented by Professor Engineer Paolo Colarossi. He's actually the president of the National Planning Institute in Lazio region in Italy. The second co-author is the architect Francesco Colarossi from the Studio Cofis in Roma, Italy. And lastly, the PhD candidate Sharon Anna Soma, also from the Department of Architecture, University of Study Roma in Italy. And the last presentation during this first session is titled Adapting Mobility Infrastructure to the Needs of Livable City, the Case of Beirut Street Market, presented by Dr. Yusuf Askar from the University of Tongji, Shanghai, China, and the PhD candidate Tahar Abdelghani from the New Giza University Department of Architecture. Okay. So let us begin with the first presentation.
Welcome, esteemed colleagues and guests. It's my pleasure to participate in the 7th International Conference on Contemporary Architecture and Urbanism. Today, I'm presenting our study entitled Bridging Urban Accessibility and Sustainability, Space Syntax-Based Analysis of Urban Green Spaces in Mostaganem, Algeria. I'm the research leader, Dr. Aqba bin Amr, and it's an honor to share our insights with you. Here is an outline of our presentation. We will start with an introduction, followed by a case study presentation, an overview of the methodology, a discussion of results, and a final reflection on conclusions. Let us begin with the broader context. Since 2008, we have observed a notable shift towards urbanization globally, with emerging and developing nations experiencing this trend most acutely. This urban transition presents multifaceted challenges and opportunities in the realm of urban planning and sustainability. Taking Algeria as case in point, around 76% of its population resides in urban environments. This is a substantial figure, surpassing the North African average of 52% and the continental average of 45%. Such rapid pace of urbanization creates heightened demand for land and resources, contributing to the erosion of urban green spaces. This depletion has serious implications on residents' quality of life and the overall sustainability of urban environments. Urban green spaces are critical for achieving several United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, such as promoting health and well-being, fostering sustainable cities and communities, combating climate change, and safeguarding terrestrial ecosystems. These spaces are key drivers of progress towards a sustainable future. Urban green spaces offer a plethora of benefits across environmental, social, and economic dimensions. Properly designed green spaces enhance these advantages and underscore the importance of strategic placement and equitable access to such amenities. Given the critical role of urban green spaces, our research seeks to investigate the accessibility of public green spaces in Mostaganem. We aim to assess the availability and characteristics of 12 distinct green spaces within the urban spatial network, utilizing the angular segment analysis method of space syntax theory for comprehensive analysis. Case study. Delving into our case study, we focus on the picturesque city of Mostaganem, situated on the northwestern Algerian coast, approximately 400 kilometers from the capital Algiers. This littoral touristic city offers a rich canvas for studying the spatial dynamics of urban green spaces. Therefore, we have identified 12 urban green spaces in Mostaganem, classified according to area, type, scale, and location, as outlined in the accompanying table. Here we present a geographical representation of these urban green spaces, illustrating their distribution across districts such as Mostaland, Amir Abdel Qadir, Jannat Al Arif, Hurriya Garden, Fusha Park, and Matraba. The map continues with additional locations, including Al Arsa, Al Salam, 1st November, Salamandre, Boujma, and Barai. Methodology. Moving into our methodology, the flowchart outlines our systematic approach, beginning with data collection from OpenStreetMap data, UGS digitizing, and image capture. Subsequently, we conduct an in-depth analysis of UGS features and syntactic variables of angular segment analysis, namely angular connectivity, normalized angular integration, and normalized angular choice, using depth mapX, thereby assessing the accessibility of these spaces where on a GIS platform. Results and discussion. The global Nash map of angular segment analysis displays significant preferential roads, such as the surrounding highways and primary roads that lead to the downtown area. The global 9 map as well highlights the downtown as the hotspot of economic and social interactions. Short local radii of 200 meters emphasize localized pathways and pedestrian flows, while longer radii, namely 400 meters and 800 meters, underscore major thoroughfares that facilitate movement across the urban landscape. Additionally, normalized angular integration elucidates varying degrees of connectivity and accessibility across the urban network, spanning from smaller hubs to broader neighborhood structures. This table as well presents the syntactic measures pertinent to the urban green spaces under scrutiny, revealing disparities in connectivity and integration across global and local scales. Our analysis illustrates varying levels of connectivity and integration, highlighting the disparities across the different scales of the urban environment as illustrated the global measures and the local syntactic measures. Upon comparing global and local radii, particularly a 400-meter radius corresponding to a 5-minute walk, observe that green spaces in the downtown area, such as Amir Abdel Qadir and Bujim'a, boast strong accessibility at all scales. Conversely, spaces located on the periphery, such as Janat Larif, expose and exhibit lower accessibility. An exception is Salamander Square, located in touristic and attractive area, which ranks highly in local syntactic measures. Accessibility emerged as the pivotal factor driving individuals' choices to visit urban green spaces, while size and quality features such as lighting, footpaths, sporting facilities, and landscapes boost user satisfaction. The ease of access ultimately dictates park utilization. Our findings expose three interrelated challenges: the limited availability of land leading to uneven distribution of green spaces, the lack of prioritization of green spaces in urban planning, and insufficient variety and amenities within these spaces. These obstacles impede equitable access and detract from the overall quality and functionality of urban green spaces. Conclusion. In conclusion, our study underscores the pivotal role of integrating urban green spaces into urban planning to foster sustainable development and enhance residents' well-being. Through the analysis of exemplary spaces such as Mostaland, Jannat Al-Arif, Amir Abdel Qadir, and Bujim'a, we have identified disparities in accessibility, highlighting the influence of physical features such as size, location, and quality on user experience and community engagement. Our findings emphasize the importance of strategic interventions to address these disparities and promote equitable access to high quality urban green environments. Here are the references supporting our study, and thank you for your attention. Please feel free to contact us via email for further inquiries and discussions.
Let's move to the second presentation.
Good morning, everyone. I am Dilshana Siyar, and I'll be presenting the paper titled Quality and Quantity parameters for developing urban design regulations for public open spaces in Kerala.
My co-authors are architect Ashwina T and architect Nirmal Chandi. The need for the study. Open spaces have emerged as a beating heart of resilient cities. It can mitigate climate change through carbon capture and flood mitigation. As Kerala undergoes rapid urbanization, the policies governing these open spaces becomes critical. Comprehensive understanding of Kerala's urban dynamics is essential to address the issues. The research focuses on analyzing policy frameworks that guides open spaces in Kerala and to derive a framework to address the issues identified from the analysis. The paper also aims to identify whether there are sufficient open spaces and appropriate design framework for regulating these open spaces. Objectives of the research. The first objective of the research is to understand public open spaces from theories and derive quality assessing parameters. The second objective is to investigate and evaluate the current policy framework governing public spaces in Kerala to identify gaps. The third one is to develop framework for open public spaces that will align with the cultural and geographical context of Kerala, promoting the effective use of public spaces. And the fourth one is case examples. The first objective is to identify the parameters for open spaces. Across decades, authors have mapped several parameters for ideal open spaces, and drawing on their perspective, this research have identified three major parameters for open spaces, and they are architectural character, functional character, and contextual character. And the sub-parameters are accessibility, attractiveness and appeal, purposefulness, activity and uses, safety and security, maintenance, comfort, and inclusiveness. The second objective of the research is to analyze the policy frameworks in Kerala. The National Urban Development Policy have mentioned only about the importance of open spaces. The Town and Country Planning Act have not mentioned about the quality of open spaces that have to be maintained. The Environmental Protection Act have focused only on the eco-sensitive zones and its protection. The Forest Conservation Act have mentioned about the conservation of protected forest, and National Heritage Protection Act have focused only on open spaces surrounding the archaeological sites. Next, at national level, the urban and regional development plans for formulation and implementation guidelines have been referred, and it has only focused on open areas to be allocated per person. The assessing parameters such as accessibility, maintenance, inclusivity, and safety are all merely touched upon peripherally. These were the national rules, policies, and acts that governs open spaces in India. Now, within Kerala, the master plan analysis have been done for the metropolitan cities like Kochi, Kozhikode, Thrissur, Trivandrum, and Kannur. The master plans are trying to achieve the areas mentioned in the URDP-FI guidelines per person. But none of the cities have achieved the quality open spaces that have been mentioned in the URDP-FI guidelines. The Kerala Municipal Building Rule is also analysed. It have mentioned about the allocation of open spaces for each category in terms of setbacks and only considered the factor accessibility. Looking into the current scenario from the above analysis, it is observed that the acts and policies mentioned only about the importance of open spaces, while the URDPFI guidelines mentioned about the open space requirement per person and few parameters like inclusivity, safety, maintenance, and accessibility, and the master plan areas as per URDPFI guidelines are not met, though quantitative distribution of open spaces is based on norms and standards. These do not address the qualitative and management aspects. The quantitative distribution does not look into the larger ecosystems. Therefore, the issues existing are the need for the open spaces that is quantity, the regulations of open spaces that is quality, and maintenance issues. For achieving quantity, open spaces should be seen as part of a whole system and develop a comprehensive structure plan with all open spaces. For achieving quality, understanding literature to derive parameters and formulate guidelines, and to develop context-specific guidelines for existing and new developments. Maintenance can be achieved by developing and maintaining both existing and proposed open spaces. Methodology is categorized in three levels. At macro level, quantity is to be obtained looking into the overall landscape plan. At meso level, quantity has to be obtained within sector. And at micro level, quality of open spaces has to be maintained. Now looking into the urban issues and concerns in Kerala. Majority of the urban centers are located along the coastal area. We have urban areas and urban areas in Kerala. And the main challenges are observed in urban areas, that is in large towns. These areas have inadequate open spaces, and the open spaces that do exist are in poor quality. At macro level, a structure plan has to be prepared, looking into the topography and natural features of the site. At meso level, guidelines have to be proposed based on the population, based on the sector, based on geomorphology and degrees of urbanization. There are different types of permutation and combination of spaces that exist in Kerala, and guidelines have to be formed for each of these combinations. At micro level, several guidelines based on the parameters identified have to be formed, and these have to be implemented in the building codes. Now, moving to objective 4, that is to analyze the research based on a case example. Here, Kochi city is being selected for the study. The area has high population density and is facing several environmental issues. To develop a macro level structure plan, several maps have been layered to understand the vulnerable areas. These maps include topographic map, urbanization map, development pressure map, catchment area map, flood prone or disaster mapping, existing and conserved open spaces mapping, and watershed analysis. Based on the study, macro level structure plan has been formed. The low-lying areas are identified for natural water catchment and integrating recreational activities. The commercial stretch can integrate recreational activity, which thereby increases economy and permeability of land. Ecological corridors connecting open spaces are also proposed, which helps regain biodiversity, resilience, and better human interactions. For meso-level analysis, the CBD area is being selected for the study. This includes parts of MG Road, Broadway, and Marine Drive. These areas are represented as the heart of economic activities of Kochi city. They contain large open spaces, mixed-use development, and possess historic legacy. These are the character of the identified precinct. The precinct is bordered by Arabian Sea to the west and Metro Corridor to the east. Marine Drive to the west is part of a planned development and consists of mixed-use buildings. Broadway is a traditional market area and exhibits traditional typologies of buildings. The MG Road towards the east of the precinct represents high street typologies in Kerala with branded commerce. There is lack of open spaces within the Broadway market and the MG Road stretch. Majority of the people uses the open space along the sea edge in Marine Drive. Meso-level strategies were formulated to obtain open spaces within these three areas. These are the strategies proposed to provide open spaces in these three areas of the precinct. In Marine Drive area, breaking of plinth to connect the open spaces along the seaside with the major road. The market canal and its edge and the street itself can be treated as open spaces in case of Broadway. And at MG Road, smaller footprint buildings can be combined together to form larger footprint buildings to form open spaces in between the buildings and at the front yard. All these placemaking strategies will help to achieve adequate open spaces that is required within the sector. The guidelines proposed are connected pedestrian paths, appropriate ramps and stairs with proper design and material, building frontage which should be accessible from pedestrian street, incorporating cycle tracks and racks, open spaces at 5 to 10 minutes of walk, signage to be provided at the same level with same materials and fonts, open spaces to be well landscaped, interactive public art and water features, similar materials for pavement of walkways which should be aligned with the road, front setbacks to be 7 meter to 11 meter to provide open spaces, promoting common boundary, provision of public spaces within private development, 25% of built footprint should be designated as public spaces, car parking, loading or unloading should be planned away from the pedestrian or open spaces, incentives for providing terrace gardens for occupied areas on ground, open spaces which should be publicly accessible at all times, 1 seat per 20 square kilometer of public spaces, providing throw blocks for larger blocks from pedestrian streets. Secondary streets or throw links should be 4 meter to 7 meter in width and 10 meter in height, improving permeability of the street using appropriate material, providing high degree of visual and physical porosity, well-designed night lighting scheme, ground floor which should be provided with active functions, types of plants on streets and roof should be based on views and wind movement, covered public spaces should be of high volume and should be in proportion with its size, providing services like drinking water, toilets, Wi-Fi, phone charging, etc. And the open spaces should be shaded with buildings, trees, canopies, umbrellas and materials should not radiate heat. Sun shadow study have to be conducted to provide sufficient shade considering the peak hours. Frontage should be unobstructed, barrier-free design, variety of seating to cater different users based on age and physical abilities. Sufficient open spaces play a pivotal role in enhancing the well-being of both individuals and the environment. An examination of existing policies exposes a shortfall in open spaces coupled with subpar quality in those that currently exist. Additionally, there is an apparent absence of a thorough analysis concerning the requisite quantity of open spaces. The framework established in this research endeavors to rectify this by addressing both the qualitative and quantitative dimensions of open spaces. It is important to note that the paper specifically concentrates on define the open spaces within the commercial typology of Kerala. However, the framework can serve as a foundation for defining open spaces across various typologies within the region. With this, I'm concluding my presentation, thanking all of you for your valuable time and patience.
Well, thank you for this presentation. Now we move on to Professor Kulavutsi. You can share this.
Hello, and welcome to this webinar replay of the geometric design of a highway using civil.
Nice to meet you.
And I, at the time of recording this video, project engineer with Architecture and Urbanism, a prominent road construction company in northeast of Nigeria.
Sorry. Hello.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here. I present my associate, Anant. It's Francesco Colerossi who's speaking, and we are here to present our metaphysical theory about the quality of the public space. So it's interesting, we will link to what the author's presentation said about the quantity, and now we will try to find a solution to explain the quality of the public spaces. Because in the last years, in Europe in general, but in Italy in particular, in the last 70 years, the 70% of the huge cities were built during these last 70 years, which means that this quantity of urban places were structured without the quality of the public spaces. Now, the problem that us as urbanists must find in this place, in these cities, is to rebuild, requalify all the public spaces that were built without quality. It's for that reason that we would like to present our Manifesto del Buon Abitare in Italian, which means towards a city of good dwelling. So now we're speaking about, I don't know if the presentation is you can see it. So why we talk about, you can see it? It works?
Yes, it works. Perfect.
Why we talk about the towards a city of good dwelling? Because we have two different situations. A critical issue is the majority of the Italian population lives in the modern city right now. But what does it mean, modern city? It means that it's not more the ancient historical city, but it's the new one, which was built without quality of the public spaces. Therefore, continuous urban transformation and urban planning tools do not make into construction uniform system of urban space, which means that there are different projects that were made by different project manager, which doesn't work together. It's for that reason that our interpretation of quality of public space means even to link all these different projects in an organic way and organic net of public spaces. We have so two different opportunities: the redevelopment of the landscape in the city and identity of theory of design guidelines to achieve a minimum level of quality of the public spaces. We have found 7 principles for the city of good dwellings that in general must assume the principle of hospitality, urbanity, and beauty. The first one is the good dwelling, a vision of a city in which inhabiting a landscape means feeling belonging to the place and the landscape that is establishing positive relationships with those places. The second is urban and local centrality. In this case, it's a vision of the city structured by centrality. What does it mean, centrality? Centrality is a nucleus, is a center of different public spaces different public services and roads, paths, and bicycle paths, which means and link all these different places. And it's for that reason that there is the third point, which is the small town in the city, 15-minute cities. A vision of the city which can be reached from the residents, the public places, and the service in less than 15 minutes by walk, which means that the requalification of the modern city, it starts from the redesign and redevelop of the mobility. In fact, we assume that the pedestrian mobility is more important than the car mobility. A vision of a city in which pedestrian and bicycle mobility must be increased and protected, with the necessary restructuring and reorganization of mobility and parking, forming a green network of paths of urban scale. The fifth point is the memory of all. What does it mean? It means a vision of a city in which the traces of urban history, even the smallest, are valued, cared for, and guarded. In this image, it's a very little village in the north of Rome, next to Viterbo, in which we have redesigned all this little village, which means that it's about 250 people who live inside, with another kind of well-being. This kind of well-being is made by these draws that you can see on the wall face, street art, which was begun by the people who lived inside this village, and now is one of the most visited villages in all the north of Lazio. The sixth point, is the pact between the city and countryside. What does it mean? It means that in the most part of the city, of the modern city, there is no real boundary between the city and the countryside. It means that there is a problem, because sometimes you don't know when the city starts and when the countryside finishes. And in this in-between, there is a problem / opportunity. In this way of being, a vision of a city in which the peri-urban countryside is a place frequented and loved by citizens, means that we must think about this boundary as a place in which city and countryside take contact. And it's for that reason that we must think about it as a new place, not urban, not countryside, and in between them. The seventh is the active involvement of the citizen, which means participation. Because there is no project, there is no way of make people happy inside his city if this citizen is not involved in the project. Which means that it's a vision of a city in which the inhabitants, entrepreneurs, technicians can find spaces and produce to make their voice heard and actively participate in the care of the city and the choice of the transformation of the urban landscape. These were the 7 points of the city of good dwelling. Where we are going to apply it? Everywhere. For example, we are presenting some project in Velletri, a city next to Rome, in the place of the Castelli Romani, in which the action of this historical center. And to make it, it was necessary to remain the situation of neglect and degradation. And it may also be an appropriate preventive policy of intervention distributed over time to avoid the same dangers of abandonment and degradation in the historical center's vital. The most important things, it was that this center was divided into different little centers, because there were some boundaries made by the orographic situation of the terrain. So we decided to make one historic center divided into 10 places linked by them, and 100 of streets with thousands of projects, little projects, because we are not speaking about a huge problem, huge projects. We are speaking about a huge problem, which means that the historical center and the new urban modern city have a lot of projects that doesn't work, but it means that to make it work, we don't need to make huge projects. We must make 1,000 little projects in all these huge cities. The urban opportunities of this rehabilitation is to link all the square and the historical monuments with the principal streets. And to make it, the first important thing is to avoid the circulation of car inside this main street, which means transform this historical center into a pedestrian walkway. To make it, the city administration intended to promote and consolidate the methodology that links the level of planning with that of the project, understood as a urban design, for which specific intervention guidelines are drawn up for each of the specific identified. In this way, thanks also to the availability of the funds PNRR and specific programs of public and private urban regeneration, it will be possible to quickly realize a new historical center to measure of inhabitants. We've made some different scenarios. You can see how is it incredible, the changement with just erase all the car parking in this place and just planting some trees, some bench, and people who work without car, which destroy the urban quality of this historical center. And all these kind of scenarios were made with the same aim: transform the places in which now the cars are living with the people. The inhabitants will live inside it. No cars, more people. The city of good dwelling means feeling belonging to the places of that city, means establishing relation with those places. We would like even to be grateful to you because we were signaled by the second prize of the International Aesthetic Design Competition, and we are very delighted by this prize. And we would like to show in really few time, in 1 minute, the project by this video. In this project, we have tried to use all the 7 principles of the theory of the good dwelling, using public spaces, a square that now it doesn't exist, inside a common market, because this is a public market. It doesn't exist still. We are still working on it, but it's a market or an open market to the city, in which people and marketer can work in contact with the city itself. It's the city itself which enter inside the market, and the market which open to the city. The concept of the rain market is to develop the problem of the biocompatibility of this construction, which means to collect all the rainfall and the water came during the winter period and reusing it to wash the market during the summer period. I think that we finished, and I hope that we were inside the 10 minutes. That's all. We are very,
thank you.
Thank you. We are very delighted to be with you.
Thank you, Professor Colarucci, for this insightful presentation. And now we move on to the last one for this session.
Thank you.
I don't know if participants are here. Yusuf Askar. Otherwise, we will start our discussion session. Well, they are not present, I think. So let us move into our discussions. So if you have any questions or comments for the previous presentation, so do not hesitate to pick up the mic or to write them down on the chat. So if you have any questions.
I would like to contribute if possible.
Okay.
My question actually is for the last paper with Professor Paolo Calaresi, if they're still around.
Yes, I'm still here. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Actually, first of all, I would like to congratulate you on winning the second prize of the competition. Very well deserved for you and your team. Actually, when I saw your name in the program, I thought you are Professor Paolo Colarossi, who was the president of Lawrence University previously. Probably you know him. It's exactly the same name, yeah, Paolo Colarossi. So when I saw you here, I thought, no, this is a different person.
In reality, I'm Francesco Colarossi. I'm the son of Paolo, which is not, however, the professor of Florence. It was now it's 10 years ago. It was professor in Rome.
I see. Okay.
In Sapienza University, right?
Oh, yeah, right. Yes, you're right. So anyway, congratulations, first of all, on your award, second prize, and on your work and paper. Thank you so much for your presentation. I loved your presentation and work. I think it's a topic that is really needed nowadays. Doing lots of little things is better than doing one major thing. I think this is the message that you wanted to deliver, which is anyway, in scientific terms, we call it the tactical urbanism or the urban acupuncture, and so on. And even I mean, when teaching students here with me, I always try to deliver this message to them that please do thousands of little things is better than doing one or two major things, because this is how you make a city alive.
Absolutely.
It's a little struggle because I'm in Cairo, and I think you can imagine the busy city and how with the pollution, with the it's a car-oriented city. It's nothing near what you know in Italy. It's a chaotic city, really. So I think this is magnificent what you have done there. My question to you is this a research project, or is it something that you have already actually implemented with the municipality, for example, or the government, or who's responsible for this? And what was how did you convince people actually to go ahead with this?
I must say that we are very proud because all this project, all this theory that we are present to you are all theory that we are practicing in the reality. Because all these projects that we are making are made in reality with the community. For example, Velletri, Fondi, Viterbo, and whatever, San Severo. A lot of cities that are not huge. This I don't know why it doesn't work for the huge city, because we are trying to speak, for example, with the municipality of Rome. But I assume that there are so many important and politically problem inside this huge city that it's difficult to make understand that it's not important the huge problem which declare the potential and the power of the city. But the important thing is to work in the details of the little project inside the city. This theory works better with the city between 20,000 and 80,000 people.
Mm.
I don't know why, probably because they are more open to experiment this kind of theory in their land, in their environment, in their city, in urban places. with a big municipality, it's more difficult. But I would like really to try, because it must be an experience, and we would like to present this possibility to qualify the city even in the more chaotic, and even Rome is chaotic, I can assure you. Not in the same range of the Cairo, but you understand. And I must say that all these things are made in reality with this municipality, and it's not difficult to make understand them that it's possible, because they can understand that if you work in detail in different places of the city, you can realize an organic and homogeneous project in all the city, and not making just some project point, some project spot that doesn't make the sense of the quality of the entire city.
You consider that this research, because it's the research and application both, work about a multi-scalar approach. We work about first of all in a small scale, and after we see the entire city. Because in fact this research works because the level is multi-scalar.
Yeah.
In every step of the application.
When it comes to the seventh principle, the community participation or engagement, did you face any troubles with people accepting the fact that their cars should be removed from this area? How did you deal with this? Because this is a very, critical issue always with people. I need my private vehicle to be nearby my house.
Yes, I know. There were, in fact, a lot of problematic every time that we are speaking about removing the cars from the city. But this proposition obviously must work next to another level, which is which way I can offer to the city to replace the car. For the example of Velletri, we proposed, for example, public transportation, obviously.
A system of parking outside the historical center.
Exactly. A system of net of parking, which give you the possibility to change your car with electrical bicycle. And we arrived even to put some mechanical way of movement, of ascension. For example, the
path.
Yes, lift or funicular or other kind of mechanical way of moving. In another experience in Bologna, we worked in a PUMS, it's a plan for urban sustainability and mobility, and the same we've made in San Benedetto del Tronto in the market. We linked the erasing of the cars and the parking cars with the transformation of the quality of the footsteps for the marciapiedi, the path for the pedestrian, which means that we are made them more huge. We've made full of trees, full of plants, full of places in which commercial, especially bar and restaurant, could open new places where put tables and places to eat. And in this way, commercial were the first to agree with this kind of transformation. And little by little, even the citizens were involved in.
Yes, but at least the situation, the participation is like to introduce step by step this project, not 100% the completely transformation.
Absolutely, which means that little by little, day by day, month by month, we erase one park station, then 10, then 100, and after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, the transformation is made. But the transformation, and this is the last thing important, it's not enough to remove the car parking. You must transform physically, little by little, the places, the public places in which you are removing the park. Because if not, people say, okay, you erase the parking car, but the situation is remained the same.
Great, thank you so much. I hope that we can extend this discussion later also. I will share my contact with you, and I hope you do the same. Sorry, Dr. Okba, I took much of your time.
Yeah, that was amazing. It's okay. It was good. So let me just continue with Francesco. For this, let me say, global approach of Manifesto della Città del Buen Abitare. That's, I think, it's a global approach that should be applied on a larger scale, maybe. I would like to, the question is, if you have faced some barriers or limitations while applying such an approach, especially in the Italian context, I mean.
Could you repeat, please? Because the internet doesn't work well.
Okay. I was talking about the barriers or the limitations that you face during the first, let me say, steps applying such an approach, such a global approach.
We found not very much a boundary about it in this experience that we've made. We found a lot of problem and boundaries in the huge city because they are linked with politically situation that we are not that we have not access to. So it means that when you can present your project by winning a competition, for example, because a lot of connection with the little municipality we've made by winning previously architectonic competition. By this backdoor, we can call it as it, we entered inside the politics of this little situation. And there is another proposition positively accepted by the municipality about this way, which means that our manifesto, della Città del Buon Abitare, it's a way of transformation which gave just the guidelines. It means that after us, there are a lot of other architects and engineers and projects manager which take care about our guidelines, and then they make the work, which means that it opens the possibility to a lot of other technicians to work on the project. It's not only a project that we've made for us. You know what I mean? It's really something that we are making for the quality of living for the citizen, but even for the other architects who can work together obviously in a way that the organicity of the project must be preserved, must be guarded. But they are free to make their own project by using these first guidelines.
Okay, thank you for those insights. And then I would like to congratulate you again for this approach and for developing such principles. So the second question is for the second presentation of Dilshana. She provided, are you here, Dilshana? Don't know if she's here. I think she left. Well, it's okay. So, if you have any other comments or questions. Okay, thank you again, and then let's move on to the second part of our session. So for the second part, we have also four presentations. The first one is titled Reading the City, Evaluating the Urban Lost Spaces of Kulna City with Respect to Responsive Environments, presented by Kenis Fatma, Nomrota Sarkar, and Abdullah Muhammad Islam, Nuhash Hussein, and Mahmoud Talha Subran from the Department of Architecture, Khulna University of Engineering and Technology at Khulna, Bangladesh. And then the second one is titled The Role of the Characteristics of Urban Furniture and Equipment on the Quality of the Public Places of the Pedestrian Zone, presented by Diana Breliach, Milinkovic Alexandra, Skoric Stefan, and Sanjevic Ivana. And then uh, another presentation entitled Analyzing the Sublets Promenades User Satisfaction in Algiers to improve the quality of coastal promenades in Algeria, presented by PhD student Neda Hanoufa, Dr. Wissam Tobal, and Professor Jamal Alqma from the Department of Architecture, University of Guelma, Algeria. And least but not last, integrating metro stations with the adjacent urban fabric using TOD principles, the case of Agar Metro Station of Dhaka, presented by Meher Niger and Sanjida Ahmed Cynthia from the Department of Architecture, Faculty of Engineering and Planning, University of Dhaka, Bangladesh. So let's start with the first presentation.
Good afternoon. This is Kanis Padamai, graduate from the Department of Architecture, University of Engineering and Technology, Bangladesh. I will be presenting our study, Leading the City, Evaluating the Urban Lost Places of Khulna City with respect to responsive environments. On behalf of my co-authors, Namrata Sarkar, Abdullah Muhammad Islam, Isam Nuhash Hussain, and Mahmoud Talha Sabra. Now I'm starting with the introducing our site, which is located at the northern edge of Khulna, the southern city of Bangladesh. This site connects to the river Rupsha, consisting of a large number of government infrastructures, historical edifices, and prominent landmarks such as Shuhid Hafiz Park, Khulna District Stadium, Circuit House, DC Office, District Prison, Jaspur, etc. Khulna has always been adapted to a river-based urbanism, and it has undergone plenty of morphological and geographical transformations. Our study that altered today's urban fabric to a significant extent. Population growth, urbanization, and the flow of contemporary development also contributed the fabric to be tempered. Therefore, some of the urban zones are tending to lose their responsiveness where they should be rejuvenated. Our study intends to assess and evaluate those regions in terms of their urban responsiveness, taking into account factors like permeability, variety, legibility, robustness, richness, and visual appropriateness. Our intention is to aid the future sustainable urban development of those areas. First of all comes the concept of urban forests, the absence of appropriate placemaking that is restraining our site to be responsive. They don't improve the surroundings or the user's experience. Types of urban forests are defined in a city, they could be planning void, geographical void, and functional void. As we are going to evaluate our site as per the terms of the book, responsive environments, here goes the first one, permeability. Permeability. It involves where people can go. Next is variety, that involves the range of uses available to the users. Legibility is defined by how easily people can comprehend the opportunities of a particular space. First is identity, which people can use a given place for different purposes. I mean the mixed use functionality it offers. Non-visual richness denotes the selection of sensory experiences like the smell, hearing, and tactility. And the visual appropriateness depicts the intricate appearance of a place, I mean how it appears visually. We're going to evaluate our site based on these factors and measure the level of responsiveness, thus determine current urban state and the type of urban void, or find out if it's even a void. The study initiated with skimming through the background and location history, followed by a thorough literature review, then proceeded with field survey, observation, and interview. After that, all the acquired data were analyzed by observational mapping, analysis of the responses of the stakeholders using IBM SPSS, which led to the graphical representation of the study area and a comparative analysis. From the pilot survey and non-participant observation, we obtained an outline of some particular public zones that we took into consideration. The zones are respectively marked 1, Jelkhana Ghat, 2, Shahid Hadis Park, 3, Khulna Jila Stadium, 4, Circuit House Field, 5, adjacent river road area of Jelkhana Ghat. As per the site, the identified zones fall into these categories. First of the survey data from continuous observation led us to some observational mapping on the permeability of this particular site. Most of the pedestrian ways in this are not designed or maintained properly. Unauthorized vendors on those pedestrian ways hampers the pedestrian flow as well. A large number of drains are uncovered or damaged. Besides, the responses of the users show a level of variation from using those different zones. In this following slide, the most familiar case of segregation is found in the land uses. In our site, having government zone segregates a huge portion of the land use pattern. Indicatory range of activity density is mostly noticed in the magnet spaces of this site, Hadis Park, Circuit House Field, the Jelkhana Ghat area. This site holds a certain number of landmarks, major and minor nodes, and the northern border of Khulna, that is the Rupsha River Road, acts the east of this particular site. This site contains a particular amount of vibrant public spaces, Shahid Hadis Park, Khulna Jila Stadium, Khulna Circuit House Field, etc. Although the vibrancy varies time to time at different points. Uncovered drains and poorly maintained waste dumps create odors and inconveniences in the marked areas. In this site, different points of nodes and the inaccessible and stagnant river could create visual complexity for human observation, which obstructs people perception, creating visual complexity. The mean value is the sum of all the values divided by the number of values. Here the questions led the respondents to rate their experiences from using a particular urban space as per the site of the study. So the higher number is 5, that depicts very satisfactory. 1 denotes very unsatisfactory experience by the user. All the observational data, mappings, and survey information acquired and analyzed in study might put a step forward to the future research and sustainable urban design universe of Khulna city. Utilizing the natural asset that river to boost the area's attractiveness by offering a constant center of activity, improving downtown business and providing opportunities for local stakeholders. The ultimate objective would be a riverside that is accessible and enjoyable simultaneously. So that was it. Thank you so much for your patience. Questions would be appreciated.
Thank you for this presentation. So let's move to the second one. I don't know if they are online. Role of the characteristics of urban furniture and equipment on the quality of the public space of the pedestrian zone. Dr. Diana. So we'll next one, which is analyzing the sublets prominence user satisfaction and strategies to improve quality of coastal promenade in Algeria.
Hello everyone, I'm Nada Hanoufa from Algeria. I'm very glad to participate to the 7th International Conference of Contemporary Affairs in Architecture and Urbanism. Our presentation entitled Analyzing the Sublet Promenades User Satisfaction in Algiers to Improve the Quality of Coastal Promenades in Algeria. At present, urban coastal promenades have become one of the most specific public spaces due to their attractive location. In addition, coastal cities around the world are adopting urban regeneration initiatives to make this walking experience more interesting and preserve the relationship between the city and its waterfront after years of separation by industrial activities. Particularly in Algeria, the city of Algiers has neglected the beachfront for many years. Therefore, it was attempted to reestablish this situation through the 2035 strategic plan with the Sublet Promenade, serving as one of its primary accomplishments. However, the promenade still has a lot of issues and challenges. Its area is still confined by nearby infrastructure, Freeway number 11 and the railroad line, even if the efforts have been made to reconnect it with the city by building a large pedestrian footbridge, but the structure itself is situated in a parking lot currently accessible to cars, causing a difficult access for the non-motorized population. The project's lack of overall management for various political reasons further undermines the development's consistency. This work aims to improve the quality of this urban coastal promenade by evaluating user satisfaction according to the three dimensions of sustainable development, helping authorities to improve coastal public spaces by identifying their strengths and failings and becoming aware of the aspects that make them more effective from a sustainability perspective. We pass now to the case study presentation. The development of the Algiers Bay includes structural projects linked with a wide promenade extending 50 km. 3 sections have been completed. Section 1, the Babelwed Promenade in the east, measuring 220 meters. Section 2, the Burj Al Kifan Promenade in the west, measuring 950 meters. And Section 3, the Sablet Promenade in the center of the Algiers Bay, measuring 4.5 km, which was developed after years of neglect. The methodology of this research was mainly based on the post-occupancy evaluation method, which consists of measuring the degree of user satisfaction using a self-administered questionnaire, online and in the field, which is composed of 3 sections. The first section, designed to collect demographic data, gender, age, level of education, profession, place of residence, etc. The questions used in this section are single and multiple choice. The second section, designed to measure user satisfaction quality of the Sablet Promenade using scaled questions of Likert with 5 points. The important components that affect quality were composed of 10 measures: economy of use, management, attractiveness, safety and security, mobility, accessibility, urban ambiances, urban composition, arrangements, and environmental quality. The last section included questions about the most annoyances for users in the promenade. To find the sample size, we need to determine the intensity of use as follows. We have 40,000 users on weekdays and 90,000 users over the weekend, so the average intensity of use is 54,000 users. Then we obtained a representative sample of 271 users, calculated with the equation of Stephen-Thomson, using the following formula. Passing now to the results and discussion. From the graph, we note that the promenade is used by women and men equally. For age, the promenade is frequented mainly by the young category. For level of education, 83.4% are university graduates. For the region, 62.4% of users are from Algiers. In terms of frequency of use, the majority of users frequent the promenade occasionally and mainly practice the activity of strolling. The most common mode of transport to reach the promenade is the car. Finally, the most disturbing factor for users of the promenade is the noise of other people. This graph represents the level of user satisfaction for all 10 criteria, from which the average of each variable is compared with the level intervals according to the 5-point Likert scale considered below. The low level between 1 and 2.59, the medium level between 2.60 and 3.39, the high level between 3.45 and 5. First, the analysis results for the attractiveness and environmental quality indicate that users are not satisfied because the absence of information and communication technologies, the lack of recreation areas and certain services needed in the promenade, the missing protection against wind, rain and sun. Second, users are moderately satisfied with the majority of criteria: mobility, urban ambiances, accessibility, management, economy of use, urban composition and arrangements. This is due to a number of factors, the most important including insufficient space reserved for waste, the cleanliness of the promenade, circulation areas for people with physical disabilities, difficult access to the promenade from nearby residences, and the lack of public transport facilities. Finally, users are satisfied with one criterion, which is safety and security. In conclusion, this study investigated the satisfaction levels and perceptions of the sublet promenade users in Algiers Bay by using a post-occupancy evaluation method, which was based on a questionnaire included the dimensions of sustainable development, and it was composed of 10 measures, with their numerous factors to assess the quality of urban coastal promenades from a subjective perspective. The results of this study extracted the important factors that the sublet promenade and other urban coastal spaces must have to improve future user satisfaction, such as the design arrangements should be changed depending on the season in order to better satisfy the needs of users and reduce the use of non-renewable materials. Improve the scope of maintenance interventions by adding the preservation for boardwalk tables, benches, and paving. Improving the accessibility of the promenade to the surrounding neighborhoods. The development of occultation specifically designed for coastal promenades, which can be opened or closed according to safety standards. Making the positioning of the various amenities consistent by dividing the promenade into sectors, and people can enjoy their activities without disturbing one another. And thank you for the attention. Hello everyone, I'm Nada Hanoufa from Algeria.
Thank you for this valuable intervention. So now to the last, I think, presentation. They are online, integrating metro stations with the adjacent urban fabric using TOD principles. I don't know if the participants are online because they didn't provide the link. Leisure. Well, I think they are not. So let us move to the discussions and questions. So if you have any, please do not hesitate to ask your questions via messages or otherwise, I will have several questions. The first one is for Fatima. I just like to know if there is any updated policies for the Indian context that are targeting, for example, sustainable development goals or whatever. If there is any updated policies, you can just tell us more about the Indian context.
Hello,
Yes, we can
can
hear
you
you.
hear me?
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Question was about, yes, the question was about if there is any updated policies that targeted the sustainable development goals. There is any, if you can tell us about this.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you well.
Okay, I will try to write it. Okay?
Hello. Sorry, there's a problem with the microphone, I think. Can't hear you very well.
Can you hear me now? Now can you?
Sorry, the sound is echoing. I can't hear you well.
Okay, I will try to write it in the chat. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Can you please write it down in the chat
Yes,
box?
I will.
Thank you so much.
Done. You can just tell us more about it.
Hello.
Yes, hello, I can hear you well.
Yes. We are currently not working with the policies, but we are just studying and evaluating the areas that might help to aid the further sustainable development in these areas. But currently, we are just evaluating and studying. We are not giving any remark on the policy makings.
Yes, okay. I just asked you the question because just to know if you will be maybe able to make this practical guidelines in real, I mean. So why I asked the question, if they are applicable or not.
I think if we continue with the research, it might be applicable for further endeavors to aid the sustainable development goals.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so
And I
much.
congratulate you again for this outstanding presentation.
Thank you so much.
I have also two questions for the second presentation of Nada. Yeah. Nada, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good, good. The first question, maybe I did not get the point of the season where you established the survey. Was it in summer? Can you hear me?
I couldn't hear you well. Please, you can write the question in the comment box.
Okay, okay. Now can you hear me? Does it work? Is it fine?
Not really. The voice is very clear.
Yeah, I think I have problem with my microphone today.
Yes, it's not very clear.
Okay, let me write it. The first question is about I think you can read it now at least.
Yes, I could read it. For the season was in the summer and in the spring. For the 2022, for the year of 2022.
I think it will be relevant if you target the other periods, because I'm pretty sure that the results will change.
Yes, because the frequency of users, I used the I chose the summer because the frequency of users was in the top.
Because obviously during summer they all the visitors they for them the cost is already good. They have no problems. Okay, so you better, I think you better target the other periods.
Yes, I understand you, but from the questionnaire, I remark that the sublet promenade is not using for the other seasons because there is a lack of arrangements in the other seasons.
Yes,
that's why.
Okay, okay. And the second question, if you allow, is about the prospect of this study. If you can discuss maybe your future prospect within this study, if you will, for example, objectively assess such dimensions.
For the future objectives, my mainly aim is to do a comparison between the subjective and the objective, a comparison between the subjective perception and the objective evaluation for doing a reference to the urban waterfront promenades in Algeria, because we have a lack of these public spaces in the coast of Algiers. However, the coast of Algiers is really rich, so we have to do a reference for this type of urban public spaces. I wish that I could answer the question.
Yes, you did. You did, of course. You did. Thank you.
Thank you for your organization.
Thank you. So, if you have any more questions or feedback before we end up this session. So at the end of this session, I would like to thank you again for the outstanding presentations that you provided, and I do wish you good luck for your scientific career and professional career. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Akbar.
You can join us later, maybe for the gathering meeting online. So you can find the link on your program. Thanks and have a good day.